So, The Chained Titans is the Nino-centered episode we were all waiting for. We've pretty much seen most of the heroes' families by this point, except Rose's, but I'm sure that'll come up in the future. Also, why is this episode right after the two Marinette trauma dumping episodes, Regenerazione and Heart Fixer? I guess it's like the calm before the second storm, since after this episode is Lady Chaos and Sad Nazi. But anyway, let's get into it. This episode starts with a flashback finally showing us Nino's parents, Nordine and Vida Lahif, back when Vida was still pregnant with Nino in their new house. And they had a jar full of money from their wedding on the table, with them both discussing what to do with it. With them both wanting different things, Nordine mainly wants to travel around the world, while Vida wants a more relaxing life. And she decides they'll plan it later and puts it in the corner of the kitchen. Then as time passes, the wedding jar remains there untouched. But after the intro, we see how the core 4 heroes spend their mornings. Also, when do they sleep again? Since they just arrive home at sunrise after beating an akumatized villain for probably hours. And they're all wide awake, meaning they didn't sleep, right? Anyway, morning routines. For Marinette, she falls down the stairs. Again, for like the 3rd time, I think. For Adrian, we see Natalie attempting to cook madeleines for breakfast. And again, it's another looking tasty dish. Also, I feel you, Natalie, cooking is hard. And it looks like she got dough on her laptop. Alia was having breakfast with her family but without her sister Nora, though I'm pretty sure she's probably at the school already setting up breakfast for the other students. Also, I'm calling it now, the Dirtifiers are totally gonna be Alia's little sisters. And finally, Nino's morning consists of his parents arguing all the time, and he uses his headphones to drown out the noise, so that's why he wears those every day. And him and his little brother Chris just have to deal with it. Also, what is with the parent suck trend going on this season lately? Ivan's dad Raul is a criminal, Nathaniel's mom Shariel is a homophobe, wanting her son to go straight.
I won't let you ruin your future. We'll get you straightened out. Believe you me.
Let go of me!
Do you wish to set things straight again?
Being able to convert your son to match your vision of the world.
Sublime's mother Caroline puts pressure on her disabled daughter to be the best. Ray's father Mr. Pugnant is a rich asshole who encourages Ray's awful behavior. Emily's father Emile is an aristocratic rich asshole who believes he can get what he wants as long as he offers enough money, and even going far to get Gabe's parents to sign a contract so they can cut ties with their grandson Adrian. Natalie's father Camillo Pista is part of a secret council / cult called the Kingdom, and doesn't hesitate to ask his daughter to get the ladybug and the cat Miraculouses for him. And you know what, let's go back even further. Chloe's mother Audrey is an abusive and neglectful mother who not only left Chloe when she was little, not only paying her kids attention once they achieved success, but had 3 different kids with 3 different people. And her dad Andre was an enabler to his daughter and Audrey, also throwing his power around as the previous mayor of Paris. Luca Angelica's dad Jagged Stone is a deadbeat who pursued music instead of his own kids. Felix's dead dad Colt Fathom was an elitist rich asshole, who treated his wife Amelie, who he forced into marriage by the way, and his son poorly. Kagami's mother and Lila's 4th mother Tomoe is like Sublime's mother Caroline. She puts massive pressure on Kagami to be the best. And finally, Gabriel Agreste, Adrian's now dead dad, who, well...
But I will never give up. I will get there, Miraculous. Thanks to the all-powerful forces of destruction and creation, I'll destroy this world that took you from us to build a new one, where we'll never be apart again. I will succeed, Emily. Whatever the cost.
Tried to do that. With all that said, I think the only parents we haven't seen yet that are related to the Miraculous are Rose's parents. Anyway, back to the episode. Nordine gets off the tram saying bye to his sons, with Nina reassuring Chris that their parents do love each other, they just have a hard time agreeing on stuff. Then at school, Nina was depressingly blowing a lot of bubbles, and suddenly the bubbler has a whole other meaning to me. And maybe it is just me that's noticed this, but is this an allegory on smoking or vaping out of depression? I don't know. Anyway, as he was blowing bubbles watching Chris, he was talking with Waze, with him saying there must be something they can do to help his parents get along. And Nino makes an offhanded comment saying, unless Waze is the Kwame of love, there's nothing they can do about it. And not only is this the second time they mentioned a Kwame outside of the usual miracle box, next to the Kwame of truth from the London special,
None of us is the Kwame of truth, Marinette.
but in a deleted scene of Ephemeral in Season 4, Tiki mentions Kisu, the Kwame of love, which also makes me wonder if it even exists in the first place. There seems to be a Kwame for everything else. Creation, destruction, protection, illusion, and even freedom from New York. Just to name a few, but nothing for love? Wait, according to the wiki, Nathaniel's power type is passion, but his power name is Genesis, able to create anything by painting it into existence. I swear, the Miraculous are pretty much Pokemon in Ladybug's Pokédex Max at this point, able to be called by her. But anyway, let's just move on. Alia finds Nino and they go to the cafeteria, where they see Nora and Twig about to prepare strawberry smoothies for them. They're Alia's favorite fruit, but Nino secretly hates strawberries, but bears it for Alia, since he doesn't like to argue because it reminds him of his parents not getting along. And Marinette and Adrian come to them while talking about future hamster names. And as they throw out different names, Nino thinks they're arguing, and gets a little scared, taking Alia away to talk in private, thinking they are arguing about something so small that it's gonna escalate into them splitting up in the future, becoming like his parents. And Nino gets an idea that Marinette and Adrian need to become superheroes to strengthen their friendship ties. That way, they'll never split up, with Alia understandably confused, since Ladybug already gave out all the Miraculous. And Nino decides Adrianette can be their temporary stand-ins. And instead of butting out or talking to them about this, Nino instead calls Ladybug out of impulse. And while this is a bad idea from Alia's point of view, I like how Nino is asking permission to do a Miraculous giveaway instead of doing it behind Ladybug's back. Also, wait a minute, when the Miraculous aren't transformed and tap their camouflage Miraculous, can they only call Ladybug? Like a one-person emergency contact? Which I guess makes sense since she's the Guardian, but what happens if Marinette is the one that needs help? Does her auto emergency contact page Adrian or Alia? Most likely Alia, since Adrian doesn't know Marinette is Ladybug. That's something to think about. Anyway, back at the table, Marinette gets the silent pager call from Nino and leaves Adrian going into the bathroom to transform into Ladybug. And we see for the first time Marinette can actually track where each Miraculous is at any time. And I have a number of questions about that. So if she can track where each Miraculous is even when the heroes aren't transformed, does that mean she can track down Zoe whenever she becomes Fury, since she does her vigilante stuff at night? Also, if she really wanted to, she could find out Adrian is Cat Noir, right? Also, I guess since Marinette didn't have the Butterfly Miraculous in her possession when transforming Gabe's Miraculous rings back to normal, she couldn't put the new features on it, aka this tracker, which makes sense that she can't track Lila down with it. Anyway, Ladybug meets up with Rena Rouge and Carapace, and they both, Carapace runs the idea by Ladybug for him and Rena to have temporary Miraculous stand-ins. And surprisingly, Ladybug is actually okay with the idea, saying they're your Miraculous and you can entrust them to whoever you want. But she needs to know their names so she can locate them, to which Carapace says he's entrusting his Miraculous to Adrian and Rena will entrust hers to Marinette, which she silently freaks out about, with Rena saying since Ladybug is a wise guardian to tell him what she thinks, subtly telling her to tell Carapace this is a bad idea. And she does, saying she's met Marinette and Adrian before and they seem too busy to be heroes, with Carapace saying she probably thinks Adrian is just a pretty model boy and Marinette is a walking disaster, always getting bogged down with Marinette moments. So first Max brings up the concept of a Marinette meter, and now Nino brings this up, which is kind of funny when you realize Max and Nino are voiced by the same person. Also, is this the Miraculous version of Twilighting from My Little Pony?
You made me a verb?
That's kind of the same vibe I'm getting here.
We just know you have a process.
Stage 1, you get big news and you're like, no! But then you pace and you chart, you worry.
See, it's kind of the same thing. Anyway, Carapace goes on complimenting Marinette and Adrian, saying they're more than friends. They're role models to him. Aw, that's sweet. And when he puts it like that, makes Ladybug hesitantly agree, with Rena silently knowing this is gonna end badly. Then him and Rena go back to the school de-transforming. With Nino happy, all four of them will be closer than ever before, like a family that loves each other and will never split up. With Alia knowing this has something to do with his parents getting into another fight, a more serious one this time. And Nino copes and reassures her that's not it at all, not wanting to talk about it, and runs off, with him going to get Adrian and Alia going to get Marinette for their, his plan. Later in the science room, which I'm totally not getting mental flashbacks to Heart Fixer, Marinette reassures Alia, saying she may have said yes as Ladybug to Nino's Miraculous stand-in plan, but Marinette can still say no, with Alia surprisingly saying Marinette has to go through with it, and Marinette, just like me, thought Alia was gonna say not to do this. But she then explains this is important to Nino since his parents argue a lot, and to help him feel better, she wants to make Nino feel that him, Alia, and Adrianette are more unified than ever. But Marinette, who is already Ladybug, can't be Rena Rouge's stand-in without putting her own secret identity at risk. with Alia reassuring her they're never going to have stand-ins. It'll be quick with her and Nino giving Adrianette the rundown of their powers and how they work, and do a quick test run and then they'll never speak of this again, which I really hope that's not the case. Then Alia calls Adrian, who is in the locker room, giving him the same rundown speech, and Adrian, pretending to be hesitant, also agrees to help Nino feel better, with Plag being the sarcastic little diva he is, says Adrian wins the award for best actor, then bringing up Marinette's similar problem of trying to be two heroes at once, putting his secret identity at risk too, with Adrian reassuring him this is all for Nino. Speaking of Nino, he runs in to get Adrian, and then him and Alia bring Adrianette down to an abandoned subway station, now named Miracle Station, where the Miraculous would train, and Carapace mentions that Mayor Bustier secretly remodeled this subway station for the Miraculous, which explains why in Revelator in the opening scene it showed City Hall, then panned to the Miracle Station below, showing the heroes training not to auto-de-transform. So that's nice to know. But I do have questions. In Illustrator, Miss Bustier said she was one of the first, not the first, to get akumatized by Chrysalis, meaning if Lila can read minds or body language like Gabe did during akumatizations, how long until not only Miss Bustier gets akumatized again, but Lila also finding out about this secret subway station? Anyway, Nino and Alia de-transform, showing off their Kwamis to Marinette and Adrian, and I love how they both have to act shocked as if they've never seen one before. Then Nino and Alia tell them their transformation phrases and they both transform, with Adrian becoming Trionyx, and yes, he's not bald like his other transformations were, and Marinette becoming Renardette. And I can't tell you how many times I kept messing up her name during recording, because it sounds like a certain other word that shall not be said. But if you wanted to, you could just change one letter to a T. I'll let you figure out which letter that is though. Also, when Marinette transforms, it uses Bunnix's theme for some reason, but other than that, their costume designs are pretty good. Anyway, Alia was training Renardette how to use her power with the flute, with Marinette revealing she doesn't know how to play the flute. Then Alia says a line that broke my brain for a while. She says it doesn't matter. The flute works on its own regardless of how you play, since the main thing is to visualize what you want to create. So wait, you're telling me this whole time Alia hasn't been playing that flute correctly? Actually, wait, go back even further. Does this also mean when Lila was akumatized into Volpina twice with the exact same power and weapon, hasn't been playing that flute right either? Has any previous Fox Miraculous holder played that flute correctly? Oops, I'm twilighting my Marinette moments again. Anyway, Alia tells Renardette to conjure a jar of pickles, and she does, after a slight mishap of it not having a label. Now Nino tells Adrian, I mean Trionyx, to create a shield around the illusion pickle jar, and he actually gets it right on the first try.
Beginner's luck.
You're just jealous of my mastery, that's all.
Also, since they never actually go into it in this episode, I'll explain it. So every hero had to train themselves not to auto-de-transform whenever they use their powers. So I'm surprised Alia and Nino didn't find it weird that Marinette and Adrian didn't auto-transform back after using their special powers, which definitely would make them all suspect each other. Anyway, now that they've mastered the basics, Nino thinks it's time for the best part, jumping across buildings together. Also, what would their ship name be in this form? Triadet, maybe? Yeah, let's go with that. They both jump across rooftops having the time of their lives, with Nino and Alia watching them from below, with Triadet both wishing this moment can last forever. But suddenly they feel a rumble as the Chain Titans make their appearance. And wow, they really live up to their name. I mean, look at this. And I thought Dark Castle was big. Unless I forgot one, I think this takes the record of being the biggest akumatized villains ever, not counting any Senta monsters. Anyway, Trionyx and Renardette decide to leap into action with Alia and Nino running after them. And while the Chain Titans don't really have any powers, they are, well, chained together by a jar. As they constantly try to go in opposite directions, one of them falls every time, causing earthquakes throughout Paris. So obvious divorce metaphor aside, how did Lila think they were actually gonna get the Miraculous? Both of their hands are bigger than 5 city blocks. With Triadet both protecting the people with their powers, they split up to de-transform, as Marinette gives the Fox Miraculous back to Trix to go find Alia, with Adrian giving the Total Miraculous back to Waze for him to go find Nino, and Adrianette becomes Ladybug and using Cat Noir again, with them both thinking of the easy route for Cat Noir to cataclysm the jar holding the Chain Titans together. But surprisingly, that doesn't work and they just reform back to gigantic size, with Ladybug then summoning a giant Lucky Charm anchor, almost getting flattened by it. Meanwhile, Trix and Waze find Alia and Nino and tell them Adrianette is okay, and Nino suddenly recognizes the Chain Titans are his parents because of the wedding jar they're attached to, and Alia tells him to go tell Ladybug, and we see Nino's full transformation into Carapace, and ooh, he's so clean with it, me likey a lot. And he goes and finds Lady Noir telling them the Chain Titans are his parents, and that jar is their wedding present. So Ladybug comes up with a plan. Since the Titans can't go their own way, they're gonna force them to stay in one place by anchoring them. So Lady Noir throws the Titans off balance, causing the jar to fall, and Carapace shields it, realizing the only ones who can break their chains are themselves. And the Titans actually unhook themselves from each other, going in opposite directions, in a rather touching scene. And Carapace unshields the jar, Cat Noir cataclysms it, and Ladybug breaks the normal-sized jar inside it, turning Nino's parents back to normal with Cat Noir and Carapace catching them. And Ladybug casts the Miraculous Ladybug, reversing the damage. After the battle, Ladybug explains to Nordine and Vita that they got akumatized into two villains that wanted to go in opposite directions. And she gives them magical charms, saying, "These will help you talk to each other without anger and agree on a direction together." With Carapace giving them the jar, Nordine and Vita agreed to have a calm conversation, and the heroes fist bump. And at the school cafeteria, Nino and Alia were having strawberry smoothies again, with Nino confessing to her he doesn't like strawberries, with Alia understanding, saying we don't have to like the same things to love each other, as long as we tell each other everything. As Adrianette comes to them asking Nino how things are going at home, with him saying his parents have decided to split up. And the weird thing is, he's kind of okay about it, and so is his little brother Chris. Things have been calmer at home since they made that decision. They're going on a holiday trip for the first time ever. A 2-week road trip with his dad, then 2 weeks with his mom at his grandparents' house. I like that his parents may have split up, but they still love their sons and want to keep spending time with them, and not forcing one parent to look after their kids forever. Anyway, Nino asks Adrianette if they want to be him and Alia's temporary stand-in heroes, with them softly declining, wanting to just be Marinette and Adrian instead, and Nino thinking they're a great pair just like him and Alia. And that's how the episode ends, end card and all. Now we get to the pre-credit scene with Lady Noir, with Ladybug saying maybe Cat Noir should find a stand-in hero, just in case he can't be there for whatever reason, like she did with Scarabella, with Cat Noir saying being a hero is fun but also a heavy burden to bear, and wouldn't want to impose that on anyone. And you know what, that's nice of him, but I can't help but think, oh yeah, you both willingly gave up your Miraculous in transmission in season 5. That was literally the whole point. And I get at that point you and Marinette were both in a depressed state, but don't act like this is something new when you already did it before. Anyway, the episode ends with Lady Noir looking into the sunset. Honestly, this episode was emotionally amazing, and it made me relate and understand Nino a lot more, as much as I did for Max in A Fairy Good Night. Anyway, those are just my thoughts. You can tell me yours in the comments. Anyway, bye bye!